Today we're here talking about IEC 61850, which is the standard and design for electrical substation automation. I have with me here Dustin Tessier. Welcome, Dustin. Can you tell me a little bit about your involvement in IEC 61850?
Well, I'm managing director for Tesco Automation, which is an engineering and consulting company focusing on turnkey substations. And I guess with a particular focus on IEC 61850, not only are we involved in the engineering and construction of these substations, we're also involved at a higher level, which is in the development of the standards that support these sort of applications. So one of the key standards that we commonly reference is IEC 61850, like you had mentioned. And what makes that standard special is it's often referred to as a protocol, but it's much more than just a protocol. It's a protocol, plus it also includes the engineering and specification aspects that go along with delivering turnkey substation automation systems. 61850, it is a communication protocol, I guess, first, and what that means is that it defines the common rules and grammar that is required for devices, as we call them IEDs, intelligent electronic devices, to communicate. So think of it like your radio in your car. Mm-hmm. Your radio has been built and designed with specific rules in mind that ensure that it's interoperable with other infrastructure, such as like AM and FM. Those are rules or grammar that the radio must abide by in order to pick up these signals. 61850 is something similar, but it's for communication of devices within substation, and not only within substations, but also now it's expanding with outside the substation as well.
So clearly this is a cutting edge innovation and standards, worldwide. Can you tell me a little bit how Tesco became involved, when you became involved, and just how you're leading the kind of charge in the IEC 61850 space?
Well, it started off, I guess I was first introduced to 61850 while working with the local utility, and I was asked to look into the feasibility of 61850, and that kind of grew some interest. And then from there, I worked overseas with Siemens Australia. I was involved in some of their first and I would say even most complex 61850 applications, which I was very fortunate to be involved in. And since then, I've came back home and focused more on the North American market. I've had a great opportunity to work with a large utility in California. We're kind of leveraging those successes into other opportunities, such as 61850university.com, which is launching in early 2016. As well as our ongoing active involvement in the standards community, including IEC TC57, which is responsible for 61850, as well as the Canadian chair to the IEC Smart Energy Systems Committee, which is tasked with overseeing the overall roadmap or architecture for the smart grid. So it's referencing key protocols like 61850 and others that are required in building these smart systems or smart energy smart grid systems.
That's great. So you've told me a lot about the positions that you've had, and I had the luxury and pleasure of meeting some of your cohorts from the working group meetings that Tesco hosted here in Regina this past summer. Can you tell me a little bit about that group and what the power is behind it when you all come together to talk about the standard and moving it ahead?
Well, there's a few words that come to mind: knowledgeable, professional, experts. I mean, these people are their league. It's an absolute humble and honor to work with experts of this caliber. And as you can see, some of these people, they all come from different parts of the world, and they all kind of bring a different sort of value to the group. And collectively, I think TC57 Working Group 10 is, in my opinion, one of the leaders in the smart grid arena, which is a key area right now in the world. One thing I think I value about the IEC is it's a truly international perspective. It's not biased towards one vendor or one nation for the most part.
So I understand that IEC 61850 and smart energy really go hand in hand. I also understand that you were just appointed as the Canadian chair for the Smart Energy Systems Committee. Can you tell me a little bit about that role and smart energy and its connection to IEC 61850?
Well, I guess let's start with Smart Energy and the Systems Committee. To begin with, the Systems Committees, it's a new concept for the IEC. It's different than the technical committees in that the Systems Committee is piecing together a new set of standards So it's not maybe creating new standards, so to speak. It's more about referencing existing standards in a way that provides a holistic architecture or model to achieve a certain functionality. In this case, smart energy or smart grid type solutions.
We hear a lot about smart grid, and most of us don't know anything about it. So can you describe smart grid technology to me and how it fits together with the IEC 61A50 world?
Smart grid, I guess, is best described or broken down into different domains. So transmission, distribution, generation, consumers, the markets, the operations. And each one of these domains has standards within them that are applicable to that domain. So if you ask somebody within the generation domain, what is a smart grid? They're going to give you a certain definition. If you ask somebody within the transmission domain, they'll give you a different definition. You ask somebody in a residential home, what is a smart grid? It might be something more focused about smart meters and home automation networks. So it really depends on which domain you're looking at. And the idea of the smart grid is to be able to bridge the gap between these different domains. So we can still maintain our functionalities within each domain, but then what the smart grid is doing is it's increasing the amount of communications, bi-directional communications between each of these domains, which ultimately add different value and different use cases for this information.
That's really interesting. And in recent discussions, I've heard of how the smart grid is actually playing an instrumental role in the development of renewable energy. I mean, we're just coming off the recent climate talks in Paris, whereby the majority of the world leaders have come together in that spirit of focused on renewable energy. Can you speak to how that smart grid actually connects to these and how that will play a role moving forward?
A lot of times when people think about 61A50, they think about substations, they think about everything that's inside the fence, which is true. That was the initial intent of the standard. But now it's being applied to other domains. For example, distributed energy resources, wind and solar. And one thing that appears to be very relevant from the government is their mandate to aggressively interconnect these renewable energy sources. And to do so, we're going to need to have replication is going to be key. And replication without standards is very difficult. So I think this is where 61A50 is a good vehicle to help achieve these interoperability between these distributed energy resources and the upstream utility customers like SaskPower. And if we can have a common template or standard on how these, whether it's an industrial wind farm or a commercial wind farm or solar plant, residential solar, regardless of the type of interface, we have a standard template on how these different resources are going to interconnect, which allows us to fast track and expedite the interconnection of these renewable energies and become less dependent on fossil fuel type energy sources.